everybody hear me? I hope you guys can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Thumbs up. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Sorry, you guys. I hate to keep you waiting. I was having technical issues getting my sound to work on Zoom. And so I had to restart my computer. And of course, that takes 100 years whenever you're trying to be fast. Hi, Tessa. Thank you so much for doing this for us. Okay, let me just make sure everybody is in. Looks like we have a great group. I should start doing these more often at night. I know it's a much more practical time for people to be able to hop on and listen. Anyhow, okay, Tessa, it looks like I just sent you a request for the document that we were shared together. Did you see that?
Let me see. Oh, yes, I see.
Okay.
I don't know why I don't know why I can't be savvy with Google Docs because I don't know how we ever lived without Google Docs.
I know, right? Yeah, so before I became a coach, I didn't even know like what Google. So I completely get it. So while you're looking at that, I'll just quickly introduce Miss Tess for you guys. If you've been around any time, you've probably seen Tessa in our groups. We've done several trainings together, and they've all been wonderful. If you're in VIP, all of the trainings are saved. So you can absolutely go into our VIP group and find some of the ones that we've done. We just recently did, Tessa and I did a training. She did the training, I just learned. But we did one on hormone health, which was wonderful. We've done one about cravings in the past. She's also done one for us on reading labels of our foods, like packaged foods. So that was really cool. And all of those you can find in our VIP group. I think there's a different name for that tab now. It used to be units, but it's called something else. I'll have to look and see where that is specifically. But anyways, Tessa and I met through the Faster Way. She's a Faster Way coach. And I have just loved getting to know her, and she's truly spectacular, really. But she is a nurse and has been for years and years, but now is a functional nutritionist. I hope I'm saying that right. And she kind of specializes in hormone health and gut health, food sensitivities. Am I telling everybody that right? So anyways, I brought her here today to share a little bit more about sleep, because I think sleep and hormones kind of tie together. Sleep also has such a huge impact on your overall health, but most of us are here to try to lose weight. If we're being honest, and it can have a really big impact on that as well. So I just found like a huge need, or I felt a huge need to share a little bit more about that with you all. I've been seeing a lot of people who have hit plateaus, and they will tell me, that they're, maybe getting a few good solid hours of sleep at night, but they're waking up consistently in the night, or they're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and not able to go to sleep, or having trouble going to sleep, all of those things. And that could very well be a huge part of the reason that they are kind of feeling stuck. So I thought that this would be a good topic for us to kind of go in depth on a little bit more. Tessa, were you able to get that?
I went ahead and just screenshotted it and sent it to send it through IG Messenger.
Okay.
Through
I'll see if I
Instagram.
can pull it up. I don't know if I can pull it up on my computer or not, but if not, you can email it to me, laurenmattingly@gmail.com.
Okay.
Let me see if it's gonna, oh no, it's not letting me even get into my Instagram. Sorry guys. Technical difficulties tonight. I thought it was gonna be great, but yeah. Can you send this screenshot to me?
Yes, let me email it to you really
Oh,
quick.
dang it. Actually, I've got a few more people hopping in, so this is good. I'm really stalling for on purpose, y'all. So while we're stalling again, Tessa is also a cancer survivor, which is such a cool thing for her to be able to share. But if you guys have any questions about sleep, I did write down the ones that you guys asked in the groups, and there was a couple that came in through email. So I wrote those down, and we can definitely discuss those. But I think it would be awesome if you all are curious about sleep, or if you're having any particular issues with your sleep and want to kind of troubleshoot while we have Tessa here. I think that would be really cool. So yes, Jen, yes, woohoo.
Yeah, yeah. Sleep is such a big problem. And when we, okay, I just hit the share in Google
Okay.
Doc. Okay. So, thank you for that nice introduction, Lauren. And thank you so much for having me here. You know how much I love this stuff and how I love to talk about it and how I love to help. So, anytime I get a chance to do this, I get, I'm all over it. So I want to, whenever we're talking about sleep issues, it's almost like the same whenever we are talking about stress and what stress really is. Sleep issues, those can run just as deep. But what I decided to talk about tonight and to focus on, the content that I wanted to share tonight, I'm just going to be talking about sort of, again, going back to how we were built, and what our bodies are supposed to do. And y'all will find out that sleep issues were kind of built in within us. So I wanted to stay sort of with that theme because I know that if we discuss those things, we're going to capture a lot of people that are having sleep issues. Because I want to, I want people to leave this talk with some definite action items and know exactly what to do. And so if I start talking about things like food sensitivities and gut health and parasites and all of that, it just gets too big, and y'all will be like, I just can't, I just can't with all that. Just tell me what I need to do. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to look through that lens of, how our bodies are designed, why we have sleep issues, what are the causes of them, and ultimately what we're going to do about them. So what are the hormone things that cause sleep disturbance in women? And so there's two things that I want to make you aware of. So as we age, our bodies produce less and less of a hormone or a compound called melatonin. Melatonin exists in our body to regulate our circadian rhythm. And as we age, we produce less and less of it. So that's the number one thing that can cause a sleep disturbance in women. The number two thing is that over the age of 35, we will produce less and less progesterone year over year until we get to the age of menopause. Now, progesterone is a very important hormone. We've talked about it before, and we know that hormone in our body is meant primarily to balance the effects of estrogen, the yin and the yang, okay? And progesterone is that hormone. It's almost like an antidepressant. It's very relaxing. And so what happens over the age of 35 is when we start to see these sleep disturbances in women. And it has a lot to do with those two particular changes. So, again, rather than get really, really deep and really in the weeds with this, we are going to stay right there, because I feel like since that's how we were made, that's where, we can get the best bang for our buck with this talk. Okay.
Yep. Love it.
And I just mentioned that because there may be women, like I've known women that they do all of the things and they still can't sleep at night. So
Right.
those are the ones that I'll talk with offline on
Yeah.
another call, one-on-one. Okay. So whenever you have, let's talk about the melatonin woman first and what that looks like. Because whenever women come to me with a sleep disturbance, or Lauren, it's usually described like this: I am so wound up. I'm tired all day long, and then I get so wound up at night. I am just like, I get a second wind, and then I'm up till midnight, and then I finally fall asleep, and I sleep good, and I sleep through the night. So that is sort of the wired and tired. Okay, and they're just dragging all day, get that second wind, and then they're going until midnight. And so that to me speaks that there is an issue with melatonin. And there is a circadian rhythm sort of issue going on that is causing that whole wired and tired. And it could be a cortisol issue as well. And we'll talk about what that looks like too, and why that happens. And then there is the lovely, I go to sleep fine, but then I wake up at the same time every single night. And so that too can be a cortisol issue. And it could be, it could also be related to the loss of melatonin and the loss of progesterone as well. So they all kind of like intermix together. So how many of you are wired and tired? Do you feel like you're wired and tired? Yes, I wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. most nights. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Women are either running in one or two of those camps. Okay. So let's talk about how sleep issues happen and how you find yourself having them. So one of the things that I see all too often is women who do not eat enough. Okay. If you are, and we've talked about this before in previous discussions, if you are trying to use intermittent fasting and you're not eating enough during your 8-hour window, then your body can, along with this decrease in melatonin and the decrease in progesterone, that can cause a stress response in the body. And so that stress response causes the release of cortisol, and that cortisol is spiking at a time whenever it's not supposed to be spiking. Cortisol is very stimulating, and so it is being, you're tapping into that cortisol stimulation at a time when you shouldn't be. And whenever we're talking about a hormone disturbance and tapping into cortisol, it's not that your body adjusts to it overnight. This is happening over a long period of time. You don't screw up hormones just by messing up one day. This is over a length of time. And so that is what could be causing the whole wired and tired. And it also could be the thing that is causing the 2 to 3 a.m. wake up. And again, stress is so big. It is so large, things that you would not even think that your body is interpreting as stress. And it is. It's things like negative thoughts, not eating enough, over exercising, It could be dysbiosis. It could be surgery. It could be chemotherapy. It could be a lot of different things. And so the authority that you have to have on your things like self-care and things like that, and making sure that you are eating enough and making sure that you are nourishing your body become very important. So you can avoid cortisol spikes whenever your cortisol does not need to be spiking. Just to give you a form of reference, a normal cortisol curve, it starts to build as we are about to wake up in the morning. It spikes. It's the highest. Cortisol is the highest in our body 30 minutes after we wake up, and then it slowly declines over the rest of the day. And what's happening whenever we are, tapping into that cortisol response completely unknowingly, we don't even know we're doing it. Our body is just doing it. It's producing cortisol at times where it doesn't need to be producing. And whenever you're waking up in the middle of the night, it's more commonly, I know a lot of people see it on a low carb day because cortisol and adrenaline will run together. And if cortisol is up, usually adrenaline is up as well. And so a lot of women are waking up just because their carbs are a little bit too low. And that immediately causes your body has to bring your blood sugar back up. So it will release cortisol and release adrenaline because adrenaline will cause the release of glucose in your body so it can get your blood sugar up. So you could see it on low carb days, you could see it on regular macro days, because once the cortisol gets whacked out, if you will, for lack of a better term, once it starts spiking at times when it's not supposed to be, then that's when circadian rhythm disruption starts to happen. Your body doesn't know whether it's night or day. And then that becomes your sort of new normal. That's what your body thinks it needs to do to keep you going. So I know it gets a little bit muddy. It gets a little bit kind of cloudy and cumbersome, but at the heart of a sleep issue, I'm always concerned about stress, number one. And the easiest thing for women to do and women to try that are having sleep disturbances and they're using it and they're in the faster way and they're using intermittent fasting is just to open their window just a little bit to see if that will help. Because again, there's such a misunderstanding of what stress is and what stress is on a female body. And so because we don't really know, we don't know to stop that we're doing it. And so our body tells us whenever we have a sleep disturbance, that's like a sign. And so it's a sign for you to, make sure that you are, managing stress. And again, I cannot stress enough that eating enough, opening your eating window, doing self-care, those types of things are going to be way more important to you in order to get that circadian rhythm back into a normal sort of range.
Yep, that's good. And I think it's one of those things that we have to continue to drive home for our clients, because intermittent fasting is such a huge component of what we do. And I think that, and it's also probably the easiest thing we do, especially for busy women. We love to fast, right? The longer we can go, the better, because it's the less time we have to think about food and eating.
Yes.
And that can actually, be kind of damaging, not kind of, but can be damaging if we abuse it. And so I just want you guys to hear that it's okay. Like if you are experiencing any of these sleep disruptions, disruptions as in kids as well, but it's okay. You have permission to pull back on your fasting window, experiment with that. 12 hours fasting is still great because you're still fully digesting that last meal. It's still effective. But if you can get your sleep back in check, you might actually be able to, lower your cortisol and begin to release some of the fat that your body is hanging on to because of that stress and elevated cortisol. And Tessa, you can
Yeah.
you can speak.
I feel like women, we were sort of programmed and we're told like the more that we achieve, the better things are.
Right. Yeah.
And while I believe that is true, I do know that sleep is very important to body composition change, because if you have to have good rest to be able to burn fat. If you are sleep deprived in any way, and we all have been there, we have all been forced to be sleep deprived whenever we have, had little babies and had to get up and tend to them and so on and so forth. But what happens metabolically whenever we are continually sleep deprived and just accepting that this is the new normal for us, you know, the more that we're not able to burn fat, the more that our body, our hormones that tell us whenever we are hungry, become heightened at that time, that the hormones that tell us that we're full, we become resistant to those. And then that level of stress constantly is messing with your body's blood sugar regulation as well. So it's never okay. It is never okay for those reasons to accept, not being able to sleep through the night. Those reasons are important. And then when you consider the fact that, like I said at the very beginning of the talk, we were programmed to experience not only hormonal change in our lives, but we were built to experience hormonal decline. And so we know that sleep disturbances will happen, and we're very prone to them because we have hormonal decline, and because that hormonal decline makes us more prone to the effects of stress. And if we are sleep deprived, then I forget what the statistics is, but being sleep deprived for a long period of time makes us more prone to things like Alzheimer's and diseases like that when we get into Alzheimer's age years, 60s, 70s, things like that. And there's more research is being done on that because we're learning so much more. There's never been a better time to be a woman because there's so much research going on, and we're learning more about the female body and what our body needs because we haven't had it before. And one of the things that they are studying and writing and informing us all about is the fact that we are so prone to this sleep problem, and we're letting it go, or we are band-aiding it with sleep aids and sleep aids that are damaging to us, whether it be Benadryl or whether it be what's the one that everybody Ambien, benzodiazepines and classes of drugs like Benadryl and things like that are not really good for us to be doing. And so, you think about all of the things that are stacked against you metabolically without good sleep is one thing, but you think about the decisions that you're making right now, and the things that you're accepting as okay can also bite you in the butt way later down the road. And there again, not any fault of our own that we're here, and not any fault of our own that we have a sleep disturbance. We're designed to, but we are truly in a time of transition and a time of knowing and understanding the female body like never before. So again, I just cannot, I don't think that any woman, it was asked, Lauren asked me, she's like, what is and isn't normal when it comes to sleep? You should be sleeping through the night, 100%. I mean, you should have restful sleep, sleeping through the night, feeling good whenever you wake up. And it's just as easy as, being better at managing our schedules, and not, overextending ourselves, doing the self-care, eating great food, which we do in the faster way, and really listening to what your body is telling you. And I know we talked about it in the hormone talk, but you really have to know and understand that, the way that you handle stress and the way that you, listen to your body and what it needs, and if it doesn't need to fast for 16 hours, then it doesn't. For now, it doesn't mean that you won't get back to that, but you need to like heed the call and, back off that fasting a little bit so you'll still gain the benefits of it.
Yes,
um
absolutely. And then too, as you mentioned, increasing, like, I think everybody is, we get stuck in the process of consuming X amount of calories and never wanting to move away from that, not being afraid to move up from where we are. We start out in a deficit in the 6-week program. As a new client, we set our goals to lose weight. We are in a caloric deficit. In addition to the fasting. And so then we stay there. We want to just stay there. We don't want to increase our calories. We don't want to increase our macros because we are afraid. As women, we are afraid. So it's important to note that if you are seeing these new changes in your, like, disruptions in your sleep, it could be very well a sign that you need to pull back on the fasting. We need to work you up in your caloric intake, and that's something that I can definitely help you work through. But those are like red flags right away for me that, okay, we need to definitely start working our way up. So if that is something that you have noticed is a new thing for you, then we need to talk and make sure we get your macros where they need to be.
yeah, adjusted. So let's talk about, okay, this is happening, what do I do, right?
Yes, that's all
because
we know.
as because adjusting food and adjusting, eating window is, you wouldn't even imagine like those simple things could help in so many ways. So a lot of women really like to invest in hormone replacement, and I think it's great. Again, it's not something, everyone always asks me, they're like, because I have very distinct, like, um, um, thoughts on the matter. And, I'm not against hormone replacement. But I do think that if you're going to use hormone replacement, that you have to be really responsible and not use it and abuse your body, if that makes sense. Hormone replacement will make you feel good, and it'll, I heard the someone said it'll make you feel like you're 30 again. And I don't necessarily want to feel like I'm 30. I just want to have good sleep, right? Like, I don't care about feeling like I'm 30 or 20, but hormone replacement can really, really help with people who can't sleep through the night or have had a hysterectomy and immediate sleep issues happen. Okay. So again, hormone replacement is an option. I, before I got sick, I was using hormone replacement, but I still had to use what I call adjuncts. And those are things that you can use on the daily, to whether it's an adaptogen or pharmagaba or things like that. We'll go over those. But just because you use hormone replacement doesn't mean that your problems won't be solved. And that's why I say you really, really, really have to, you really, really still have to manage your stress, and you have to listen to your body, even if you're using hormone replacement. Now, there are some fabulous adaptogens and adaptogen blends that I really love for sleep. You're going to want to look for things like ashwagandha, rhodiola. There's going to be some fabulous, what I call blends. And most of the time, they'll be listed as an HPA, like and HPA is an acronym for hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. So an HPA AM or an HPA PM, those are going to be like an adaptogen blend specifically for that HPA axis, because again, not to get so sciencey on you guys, but like whenever you are firing cortisol, whenever you shouldn't be, that whole axis talks to each other in your body. And so whenever, cortisol is being released here and the hypothalamus, didn't tell it to do it. So it works on a feedback loop. So if you've got circulating cortisol, then that whole axis becomes, it's not talking to each other. So adaptogens, what they do is they help your body kind of reset, if you will. Now, whenever we're talking about adrenal issues or cortisol and stuff like that, having an adrenal issue leads to other things. And again, it's not something that you just acquire overnight. This is over time. And so resolving it is over time as well. So it's not something that you'll be over in a week. It's not something that you will be over in a month. It may take several months for you to like get that whole axis talking to each other again like it should be. Okay. So adaptogens are really, really, really good. Melatonin, not terrible. Again, your body produces it normally. So what I want you to be aware of whenever you're using melatonin is if you have to start using more and more and more and more of it, that is a sign that your body is just completely shut that down. The more you take, the more your body will produce less of it. And there again, melatonin regulates the circadian rhythm. So wired and tired people need to key in and practice good, they call it good sleep hygiene. And I thought it was total bullshit, and it's not. It's dimming the lights. Like I swear to you, I thought it was total bullshit, and it's not. You dim your lights at night. You wear the blue blocking glasses. You make sure that there is no light whatsoever. You sleep in a cold, dark room. You put the, temperature down to, 68, whatever, every night. I literally do that same thing every night. And it trains your body to know that it's time to sleep. And so it's not total bullshit. It really works. But it's just a matter of, we do so much during the day, and it's like, oh, I'm supposed to do that, because we're running around and doing all the things. So if you're wired and tired, good sleep hygiene is great. Melatonin is great. I love Pharma-GABA as well. And Pharma-GABA, you can get it in capsules. I prefer the chewable. And what Pharma-GABA does, it just sort of, it doesn't like zone you out, but it helps you to wind down. And it's got a lot less calories, and it doesn't hit your macros like a glass of wine will. Okay. It's just, I love the little chewables, and they're great. And they just help with the whole wind down. Pharma-GABA is awesome. The other things that I like are, I love L-theanine. L-theanine is an amino acid. I don't know if I talked about it in the hormone talk or not.
I don't think.
L-theanine is great. It is it it mitigates stress and mood. So if you are that mom, and I don't know, maybe I was her, maybe I wasn't, but I used to get so irritated at my kids. Like, my husband would call me old yeller because I just, like, everything was at the top of my lungs, right? Because I was like so stressed out with everything. And so I started using L-theanine, and L-theanine you can take up to, like, I think it's 500 milligrams a day. And they come, I used to buy it in 100 milligram pills. So I took like maybe 4 or 5 a day. And I would take it at night. And I tell you what, it just evened me out. Like, I was so chill. And not to the point where I was groggy, but it was like I was cool with everything, you know? And so L-theanine, can't say enough good things about it. Like, I don't take it anymore. You can take it for up to 3 months like that. But it's a great thing to try if you're just like, I mean, you're in that season and you got little babies and they're just trying you hard. L-theanine is great. I love, love, love that stuff. Cannot recommend it enough. Another thing that I've found as of late is 5-HTP, which is serotonin. Again, when we get into the melatonins, the serotonin, stuff like that, I get a little like, I get a little twitchy because it's not as natural to me as like L-theanine is. You know, our bodies should make serotonin. Like, our bodies will make what we need if we give it what it needs. So 5-HTP is just serotonin. And I have it in a spray form, and it seems to work really, really well. Again, not necessarily like a true sleep thing, but it's definitely been, I'm kind of sharing all the things that have been in sort of my cocktails through the years. So you can get them and try and see if they work for you or not. Because that's another thing that I have found in working with women who have sleep issues is you really have to find what works for you. Because it could be a combination of things. And I'll give you an example. Like, when I was having sleep issues, I was taking L-theanine. I was taking Cerephos, which is another good thing for sleep. I was taking a little bit of melatonin and some pharmagaba. So I was taking like 4 things. So you really have to find the cocktail that works for you.
Okay, we
But
have questions here. Can I interrupt you for a
yeah,
second? So are these all over the counter?
you can definitely find them on Amazon for
Okay.
sure.
Okay, and
Um,
CBD. What do you think about
CBD,
CBD?
yes. And I've used CBD before. Yes.
Cool.
Charlotte's Web has, I love their gummies. They have, because I can't have THC, so I have to find all of like the things that are not, that are THC free. And their CBD, their CBD is, it's plant-based. I guess it's all plant-based, but anyway, from the bark of some tree of somewhere, some far off land. Anyway, so they say, who knows?
Right.
But they have like 3 milligrams of melatonin in their gummies.
Gotcha.
Another thing, so let's talk about stress. And Okay, so let me talk about stress really quick, and what I think all women should be taking. Like every modern woman, I think that vitamin C. So vitamin C, just so you know, our adrenal glands love vitamin C, and you can actually take 750 milligrams per day to help boost your progesterone. Again, maybe not a long-term dose for you um, if you are not a stressed woman. Like I take 1,000 milligrams a day because I live in Stressville. So, but vitamin C is really, really good for stress. B vitamins, B vitamins are great. You'll want to look for methylated B vitamins. Those are good. Or if you're wanting just like a good B12 source, if you can find desiccated liver tablets, those are really good to take as well. You can take up to 3 of those a day. And let's don't forget the mineral we all know and love. It's good for sleep and it's good for stress, and that is magnesium. Every woman should be taking magnesium. If we could get it from our food, I would make you eat more magnesium food, but we can't. So it's a really great one to supplement. Definitely not going to hurt you. It's probably on the opposite end of the 5-HTP. Like you can take magnesium. It's just, again, I don't know why any modern woman in America would not be taking it, because we all need it.
Okay, what magnesium supplement do you recommend?
So I like Orthomolecular's reacted magnesium, or Integrative Therapeutics Tri-Magnesium.
Okay.
Magnesium comes in different forms.
Mhm.
And reacted, the orthomolecular reacted magnesium is one that I like. If you can tolerate a fulvic um, magnesium, it doesn't taste great, but it's probably the best absorbed of all of the magnesium forms. But yeah, for sure, like we should, it's just those are the B vitamins, vitamin C, and magnesium are just a given for sure.
So I am going to ask you a favor. I'm going to send out the recording of this to everyone. Could you get me a list of your recommendations for, you know, the tired and wired, wind down, the
Hmm.
stress, if you can give me a list of those
Yeah,
supplements, that would be so nice because I know everybody's like, how do you spell that? Where do you get it?
yeah, yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
awesome. And then the Pharmagaba, is that safe for children?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, let's see here.
For
Do you
sure.
take
And I would prefer Pharmagava over melatonin for kids, because again, um, their bodies are producing it. And if you give it, they'll produce less. And so I'm like, oh, it's almost like you're getting on that wheel, you
right?
know?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's true. Okay, so I have a question here. Do you take the three vitamin C, B, and magnesium in addition to a multivitamin, or would that be too much?
yeah, that would be too much. You would need all that. So I for yeah, I like to kind of single things out. And so like I take the liver thing, but you can take a methylated B, vitamin C, mag, all separate. And then I definitely like, just for hormonal health, and everyone probably already does this, but a good fish oil or vitamin D supplement is good as well,
Okay.
for sure. Every woman.
So magnesium glycinate or citrate, which do you take for relax?
Glycinate.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Citrate is like the one, like the formulation that makes you poop. Um, so glycinate won't.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So let's see. Sorry.
Yes, and kick
Let
that
me
thing to
see.
the curb. Kick that multivitamin to the curb.
That's good. Interesting. I'm learning so much about supplements right now. It's great.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's see here. These were the questions that came in, and we've kind of went over, touched on a little bit of these already, but just to kind of recap, I really have to fight for good sleep. I fall asleep okay, but then wake 45 minutes to an hour later, and sometimes am wide awake for several hours in the middle of the night. Thoughts on melatonin to help you sleep
Yeah.
better. So we discussed that, but
Right.
for that
And
question, your general recommendation.
yeah, so I would have like some Pharmagaba at, that's whenever I would take those, and I would get a chewable form
Okay.
and just have them on your bedside table. And then, another thing too, we could all like do a Dutch test and find out exactly if we're, have an adrenal issue or cortisol problem or a hormone problem. We could all do that, right? So instead of doing that, I err on the side of, because not all of us can, not all of us want to.
Right.
So I err on the side of trying to give, okay, really good supplement suggestions
Hmm.
and for stress, which, the vitamin C, the mag, all of that will help.
Yeah.
And then I love adrenal cocktails. And maybe I'll add those too, Lauren, because there's some that you can do at night and there's some that you can do in the morning. And it's all sort of centered around, like the morning one has cream of tartar and sea salt, and I put lemon in mine. And so you can drink some of that in the morning and drink it all the way up until 2 o'clock and stop. It's a great adrenal cocktail. And then there's some for night that will have, the same sort of things, but just nothing that will be stimulating. They'll be very nourishing for the adrenals, but not necessarily something that will stimulate you and keep you up all night. So
Awesome.
I'll add those cocktails too.
Yeah. So great. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask you here in a second to tell us, if like okay, so say we try these things on our own and we don't have success. I'm going to have you kind of explain what your next steps will be and how they can work with you, um, on a one-on-one
Yeah,
basis.
yeah. So what's really cool is that, any Faster Way client, I have to sort of work, through the arm of the Faster Way. And so the nice thing about that is that the pricing is a whole lot less than if it was, if we were to work privately one-on-one. And so what that looks like is that if, like if you wanted to do a Dutch test, we could totally do it. Totally do it. The test kit comes to you, and you do it at home. Like, and if we could do the Dutch, we could do food sensitivities, we could do, a poop test, we could do, and it's assess your microbiome. Like we could do all of that, and you just have to pay for the test and the calls that go along with the Faster Way. And those are, again, priced way more affordably than it would be if we were working privately. And we could do the same things, and the you just save a whole lot of money. Yeah, so I can either send you my link, or you can reach out to me on Instagram. And it does not, I will talk to anybody about you know, doing whatever test that they want to do, or finding out, or um, because all of the supplement, you know, you can try all of the supplements and they, you know, you still might not get what you need. And then that's when we can sort of walk that path to figure out, okay, what really is going on?
Yeah.
What is causing um, this to happen? Because we really should, and this is crazy to think, we really should all be having really good sleep,
I have a
even
few more
with the hormonal changes that we're supposed to have.
Right. Right. Okay. So here's one. She's getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, but it's mostly light sleep. And I have to drag myself out of bed every morning despite 9 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the deal?
I would definitely start doing that little adrenal cocktail whenever you wake up, because I bet you're tired. And I would really start thinking about just total adrenal support. Because there again, that's another thing I failed to mention. I mentioned wired and tired and waking up in the middle of the night. But then there's also the woman who sleeps great, but she doesn't feel rested. And so that I think of an adrenal issue, a hormonal imbalance of some sort. Um, and so, we would definitely have to, I would just immediately start, doing the whole adrenal cocktail in the morning. I would, do the kind of just assume that there is, you have some stress going on. So just support your body, um, do the vitamin C, do the mag, all of that stuff, because it will just be, it's one of the easiest and the best things that you can do until and until you find out if there's like something going on hormonally or something like that.
Got it. That's kind of been me, but my whole life. Like I never wake up like feeling like I can just hop out of bed. Whereas my husband's like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, I need 30 minutes and 2 cups
Uh-huh.
of coffee.
I know. I
That's
know.
definitely me.
Yeah. Yeah. And, just know that this is always going to be the puzzle. I mean, you'll get it down and then it'll change, So that's what got me really excited to talk about this, because it's just, it's not something that you'll fix and it won't ever happen again. You'll have to change and find your new cocktail and things like that. So, um,
Okay. Okay. I've got one last question and two more. We'll wrap it up after this.
yeah.
If age is 55, onset, sleep has been poor since menopause. Let's see, difficulty falling asleep, and I wake several times to use the bathroom and night sweats, eliminated caffeine, alcohol is rare, implemented faster way strategies, regular exercise, shorter eating window, cool fan or a fan next to my bed. What should I
Mhm.
do to consider improving my sleep, or is it just a waiting game?
Oh, um, so I have a couple questions. So this person, do you go to the bathroom? Do you poop regularly?
Well, the problem is this person emailed in, so
Oh, she did. Okay.
yeah.
So the first thing that I think about is, for her would be, is there an estrogen dominance kind of thing? Is she eliminating estrogen regularly? And the way that we eliminate estrogen is we have to poop it out. So, it's important to, always be regular in that area. We should poop at least once a day. And so that would be my first question. And then secondly, she might want to consider having her hormones checked and maybe adding in some progesterone, because it sounds like there is, um, hot flashes always makes me think of hormonal imbalance. And so maybe just a little bit of progesterone cream. Like I can do progesterone creams and estrogen. I just can't do testosterone. It's a level that's I'm not approved to do. Um, but it may be just a matter of adding a little progesterone cream or something like that to help balance and even out. So she'll get a better night's sleep.
Okay.
It's a little bit tougher for women like me. I can't have any. So it's like, well, that doesn't leave me with a whole lot of hope.
Right. I know. I hate that. Well, she will get the replay, and then if she has questions, I'm
Yeah,
directing her to you, and you guys
yeah,
can work
yeah.
together if that works out. Okay. Last question. If you guys have anything else you want to ask before we go, but I know we've kept you long enough tonight, Tessa. So, do you have a brand of vitamins or minerals you trust and recommend?
Yes, I like orthomolecular. I like integrative therapeutics. Jarrow. Jarrow is a great over-the-counter brand, and in fact, their methylated B formulation is really good. Jarrow, Jarrow. They also have a magnesium, but I like the trimagnesium and the orthomolecular reacted magnesium better. But Jarrow is a great over-the-counter brand. There's probably a few more. I'm just not thinking of them.
Okay, maybe we can just add that to the list.
Yeah.
I'll send you a list of what we need.
Yes.
And we can spell it all out so everybody understands. Diane asked about metagenetics. I don't know anything about that. So,
Oh, metagenetics. Yeah, metagenetics is good. Yeah, I
okay.
like their brand. Uh-huh.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to share with us before we?
Well, I hope that this was helpful because, like I said, we all have to sort of walk this path, right? And so I wanted to, make you feel okay with the fact that this may be happening and, you know, kind of direct you in the path of there is hope. You will not have to always be sleepless. But you need to take that as a sign that there needs to be an adjustment. There needs to be something that you need to iterate in your life. And it may be as simple as, opening your eating window, changing your macros a bit, or, it may be something, much bigger. And, I'll be happy to help you find what it is. And, if you ever need that help, because I love sleep.
Me too. Okay, so Megan wants to know, she's 25 and wakes up not feeling rested. Is this, the same recommendations for the adrenal steps that you previously mentioned, or is there something else you would do for her age?
Yeah, I would absolutely, just be a very, very stress protective, adrenal protective, and, just kind of operate in that realm until proven otherwise. Like you truly, honestly cannot go wrong with any sort of adrenal support or, supplement support for stress. You really can't.
Yeah.
Not in the world we live in.
Oh my gosh, he's a maniac. Okay, so Diane says thank you. A great hopeful comfort conversation for those losing sleep. I totally agree. This was wonderful. Thank you so much. Gus, be quiet, please. So anyways, thank you, Tessa. I appreciate you so much. Just pouring into our community and always just being full of knowledge.
Yeah.
I've
Thank
learned a lot.
you.
I'm sure you guys have too. Please feel free to reach out to Tessa, like she said, on Instagram if you'd like to set up a consultation with her. I know she'd be amazing to work
Yeah.
with. But even just following her on Instagram is super helpful as well. So we'll get the replay out to you, everyone, and I will make sure that we have a list of all of the recommended supplements that we went over tonight. And hopefully, after this, we're all going to be working towards a better night's sleep and able to maybe reach our goals a little bit easier with that help. So thank you, Tessa, so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night.
All right. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.